This episode is very bittersweet. I am saying goodbye to a segment of this show that I have loved ever since I started it. So, please, come along as we have a fitting farewell to Fistful of Joes. Hello, fellow dorks and dorkettes, and welcome to It Came From My Side of the Laundry Room. My name's Rob, and in this episode, we will be grabbing our last Fistful of Joes. See, this is Fistful of Joes number 30. But in reality, it's actually episode 31. See, allow me to eulogize Fistful of Joes for a second. But knowing me, it'll be way longer than a second. Anyway, when I started It Came From My Side of the Laundry Room, I meant it to be kind of a video magazine, if you will, to accompany the other episodes that we were doing on the channel. And it was my, first steps into doing solo content for the channel. Because when I first started, like pretty much a year to the date of the first It Came From My Side of the Laundry Room, I kind of asked to have a, co-captain to help me out. Because believe me, I am a tremendously shy, socially, anxious person. So doing something like this just right off the cuff was very hard for me. So I kind of had some help in the beginning, and as time went on, that kind of phased out as I began to get comfortable with it and march forward solo. Anyway, in that very first episode, we talked about the Nintendo Switch, which we just had gotten for Easter that year, and the first Fistful of Joes. And from the get-go, I had the intro and everything planned because it was something that I'd been thinking about for a while. Actually, the whole show idea of It Came From My Side of the Laundry Room, I thought about many years before that when I was writing my blog very actively. I wanted to, talk about things that I had in my collection, and, I wanted a place to talk about them. The blog, it just never felt right for some reason with how I wanted to do it, but in video form, it kind of worked because it was something of, like, one time I'm talking about McDonald's Happy Meal toys that I have saved, talking about G.I. Joe figures, talking about role-playing game books, what have you. But, like I said, I wanted to make it kind of like a video magazine and have multiple segments. So, like in that first episode, it was Fistful of Joes and a quick review of the Nintendo Switch. Anyway, in that first episode, my first Fistful of Joes was, and let me get this straight, was Zanzibar, Hit and Run, Quick Kick, Crazy Legs, and Copperhead, that unfortunately I named him Cottonmouth for some reason. I mean, it was very late at night. I was still finding my footing, doing this by myself, so I just made a major flub, and it ran throughout the entire, portion of talking about Copperhead. I actually left a comment in the description of saying, I'm an idiot that I did this, and I called him Cottonmouth. I mean, aren't cottonmouths in the water anyway? But anyway, yeah, that was a something I regret still to this day of my first foray into this, and I messed up. It's a theme that has run through the channel ever since. Now, that first episode actually aired in, this surprised me, April 10th, 2018, which means that the first episode of the channel at all was in 2017 of April. It amazes me that I've been doing this for that long, but time flies while you're having fun. Anyway, just some of the notes that I wanted to say about this first outing. I mean, first off, I just took out grabbed my fistful of Joes and just showed them to the camera like this. I mean, here's a picture. And doesn't my side of the laundry room look completely different? Because I did an overhaul and painted and, just did some different things. I mean, looking at older episodes where I shot this way, not that way, yeah, completely different. Just really blows my mind at how different it looked. Anyway, we fast forward to March of 2020, and this was my first time making Fistful of Joes its own segment, its own show, and broke away from that multiple segment structure of it came from my side of the laundry room. I mean, episodes were very long, and people, I think, just were showing up to look at the Joe portion of it and didn't really care about the other stuff. So I wanted to break off and make Fistful of Joes its own thing. Now, before I did that, I pretty much did this to save my skin some weeks when I didn't have any content available because I hadn't thought of anything. Because back then, I just flew by the seat of my pants. I mean, now I kind of schedule things. I try to get the whole month planned out ahead of time, and it has helped. But back then, I didn't. So when I got into a bind, what I did was I took all those Fistful of Joe segments and put them into collections. There were 4 collections in total that were the first 10 episodes of Fistful of Joes. Now, Fistful of Joes number 11 did not get any collection to it, but it was actually done with the new camera style of pointing it down and not just me holding it in front of the camera like I was doing. Now, it came from my side of the laundry room number 51, and I didn't watch the episode back, but in the thumbnail it had Wild Bill, so apparently I talked about Wild Bill in that episode. Now, in January of 2021 was when we took Fistful of Joes and, made it a monthly offering. See, before that, I started off strong with doing Fistful of Joes segments for the show, but I kind of didn't want to get pigeonholed as a G.I. Joe channel, so in a kind of dumb move, I just stopped doing them. So there's huge gaps in between, when the segments would actually air. So it was really cool to take that monthly approach, and it was something I could look forward to every month of, playing with my old G.I. Joe figures. So I really enjoyed doing that, and I really thought that was a smart move. Anyway, I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say about the history of Fistful of Joes. So now, all of these are the containers and this huge shoebox. It's a kangaroo shoebox, so how appropriate, an 80s shoe brand full of 80s G.I. Joe figures. But anyway, now I know we have not talked about every single one of the figures that are in these. I mean, these are chock full of different Joe figures of different eras. Now, also in Fistful of Joes, we talked about, completely different types of G.I. Joe figures, like 12-inch figures, the Sigma 6 figures, and things like that. So I would, like to, if I, do something like this again, talk about those types of figures as well. But, like I said, there's a lot here we haven't talked about yet. And, I mean, a big portion of the history of Fistful of Joes was me just holding it up to the camera like this, not the super, you know, uh, shot down at a, you know, backdrop look at them. So, you know, honestly, there will be another version of the show that, from the ground running, you know, from the start, I should say, we will be doing it the proper way, not the, you know, shoving them in your face way that I was doing. But anyway, where does that leave us for episode 30? And real quick, why are we actually 31? Well, when I started doing the Fistful of Joes as its own show, I counted through all the old episodes of It Came From My Side of the Laundry Room, and I actually skipped over one. So, yeah. Again, a mistake that I've lived with and kept perpetuating because I didn't want to, out of nowhere, you know, start numbering them differently. I thought about it, but I didn't. Anyway, where does it leave us for number 30 to kind of make this a special occasion? Well, let's go back to where the 25th anniversary figures started. They actually started in these box sets. Sorry for the glare, but they have an awesome, you know, foil decoration on it. Sorry, getting into a rave there. But this is the first one that I got, and some of our earlier episodes we actually had these in the background as decoration. So I've had this ever since it came out in 2007 and have not opened it. I mean, you don't really need to. They display the figures so perfectly. We'll take a look at them closer. I don't mean to do a throwback to how I used to review the figures. But yeah, I thought to make this special, why don't we open this up and take a look at the figures up close and personal. Now, this wasn't the only box set that they released. That's the G.I. Joe one. They released a Cobra one, and another Cobra one called Cobra Legions. I believe there was a fourth one, but I didn't buy it at the time because I kind of felt it was, you know, repetitive of what was already released and what I already had. But this one's a pretty cool set as well, and maybe we'll look at them in the future. Now, before we start, I just want to say I never really wanted to open these, but this is a special occasion, so I am taking the plunge and we're going to look at these figures, and hopefully I can put them back in because I just really love the presentation of these. I don't care about the money or anything. I mean, it's water damaged. Anyway, let's get to it and take a look at this 25th anniversary box set. Yo, Joe! Okay, folks, here we go. This is the G.I. Joe box set from the 25th anniversary line from 2007. Now, before we go any further, I just want to point out that I am using a new camera and mic, and I have no idea how this will turn out, but here's hoping for the best. I mean, it would be so fitting if the last episode was messed up like the first episode in one way, shape, or form. But anyway, because of the foil artwork on this, it looks really ugly right now. And I mean, you can see my hands in the reflection. Duke looks very dark, and that's just because of how the light is refracting and my lighting. I need to get awesome lights one day. But let's take a look at this. Now, like I said, this is a new camera, so let's back up a little bit here until I figure out all the best aspects and ratios and that kind of thing. So if we open this up, whoa, we have, well, first off, this awesome artwork. kind of a reproduction of the original artwork with the dog tags of the characters that are inside. We have Duke, Scarlet, Snake Eyes, Roadblock, and Gung Ho. Interestingly enough, it says Snake Eyes is infantry. It doesn't have commando there. So, but we have Gung Ho. It doesn't say a Marine or anything. It says Recondo. So, kind of interesting why that is. And real quick, I also want to point out, I love this collage. I mean, we have a little bit of everything. We have this eel up here. We have CoverGirl. Well, here and here. Gung Ho, the Defiant. Terror Dome. Look at that. Monkey Wrench. Xander. Dr. Mindbender. Buzzer. I mean, a little bit of everything. Serpentor. And this just was, I mean, such fuel for the imagination to what the 25th anniversary line was going to offer us. I mean, look, even has the comics, cartoon, toys, I mean, Bazooka cartoon right here. So it's letting us know that it's going to encompass the entire 80s G.I. Joe universe. So this also has how to open your collector case. So I'll definitely take a look at that real quick because I don't want to mess this up. I want to keep it as good as I can and hopefully put the figures back in. Anyway, the figures, here are those 5 that I mentioned, and you had this awesome G.I. Joe logo that at the time you would press the star and it would dun 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 dun. But of course the batteries are dead. I don't know what kind of batteries, so hopefully they're common ones, not those wacky watch batteries that can be pretty expensive. So I have my knife here in case I need it for tape, but it looks like, like I said, this was water damage, so it's not in pristine condition or anything. It's just I like the presentation of it and I would like to keep that. Okay, I see what it meant in the directions about the tabs, but if we can just lift this top tray off, that would be half the battle, as G.I. Joe likes to say. Now, I'm going to level with you folks. This is not the end of us looking at my Joe collection. This will be the beginning of something new. I have some really cool ideas to how to make it different while still looking at, slightly reviewing, and playing with some of this stuff in my collection. Now I'm going to use the knife to pry this out. And maybe. Oh, I have a feeling I'm going to end up trashing this somehow. Anyway, we'll put the knife to the side. Let's start with Duke, shall we? Oh, and underneath are the file cards. I am not going to fish those out because I don't want to mess up this like tab system it has. But now the legs and stuff were fished down in there. So here we go. Here is Duke. And this is one thing that the 25th anniversary line did, was add these rubber bands so they could hold their weapons. Now I have a feeling I'm going to have some focusing issues with this packaging in the background, but we'll see what we can do. I mean, I feel like I have a ton of Dukes, but this was the first in the 25th anniversary line. A lot of the ones I have were different versions. I mean, that's a nice looking Duke. Kind of very good reproduction of the original figure.
I mean, his choice of gun, I don't know why they went with that. Granted, an M16 with an M203 is pretty impressive, but I would have much preferred him have the patented G.I. Joe laser rifle. Great detailing. I mean, I honestly can't even tell you how long of a gap it was between this box set coming out and the first wave of carded figures. Yeah, there we go with it. There we go. That doesn't look too bad. Nope, there we go. Oh. But very good detailing. Of course, he has the holster here, and he came with a gun that's taped in. I'm going to leave that taped in. It's the same gun that we've seen 100 times, like a big 45. And he came with little itty bitty binoculars, which his other versions also came with. So, I mean, I like the bandolier. This was showing us what the line was going to offer us with having the holster and a added bandolier that wasn't molded in. So let's put him here and take a look at Scarlet. Now her crossbow is taped in here, so I'm going to try to peel this tape off. There we go. We're going to leave that like that. I'm sorry to be prudish with this. Now, she also comes with like a 9mm here, which definitely the original did not. Now, she is really... let's put her crossbow to the side. Now, again, I have multiple versions of the Scarlet, but it's neat to look at the very first one. Now, look at this. They have a molded pistol here on her side. The quiver, which, I mean, that's revolutionary. The ponytail. I mean, they were not messing around. Now, the 25th anniversary line got so much better as it went along. But these were the original, 2007. Oh, there's those shuriken. Let me put that back in focus. Now, she comes with this pistol, but I don't see any empty holsters here. Here we have a little combat knife. Like I said, there's a holster here, but it already has something molded into it. They should have left that empty to put this extra pistol she came with. Now, here we go. The patented Scarlet crossbow. Now we got a little arrow knocked in there. Very cool. Now, I'm a fan of the original one more than this style. That being one of the issues that I totally loathe, is that it came in pieces. I think that happened off camera, but the bow and the string came off of the rest of the weapon. So we'll put her there, and yeah, I'm questioning the extra pistol. Now, Snake Eyes in his OG commando gear, not infantry gear. I think that's really weird. Oh, there we go. It's going to be hard to fish them back into there, but now this is... They had all the bells and whistles going with Snake Eyes, and who can blame them? I mean, probably the most popular G.I. Joe character of all time. I mean, he's my favorite character, so I'm not better than anyone else. I'm a mark for him. But here we have that rubber band holding his Uzi into his hand. He's not gripping it, but it's there. He's got this knife, which we have sheath for the knife here on his leg. He comes with an extra pistol here, which goes into the holster, which is here. And he has his bomb satchel that has his name on it, it looks like. Nope, it says explosives. My bad. But look at the detailing on that. You got carabiners on it. I mean, one thing that the original figure, I mean, he was made to save them money. I mean, all black, no real details. And look where he is now. One of the most popular G.I. Joe characters of all time. Now, this combat webbing, of course, that's a separate piece. Grenade, nice paint application. And look, you can actually take it off of him. But great detailing on the goggles and mask. You can see the little ventilation holes molded in there. The stitching, if you will. Oh my goodness, got a focus problem here. Yeah, there's just way too much going on behind for it to just stay focused, so I'll know better next time. I should have known better because that same issue happened in the Crocmaster review. So, great. Now, I, of course, did not open this when it came. Oh, and he has a backpack here. It's got some monstrous tabs here that I don't want to bust out too much. Let's see if we can pop it out with the knife. Oh, there we go. Kinda, maybe. There we go. It's more like a parachute, maybe? Now, what are these tabs here? Am I missing something? Oops, sorry, off camera here. What I was commenting on were these tabs. Or is this for... No, this could be for Roadblock to put his bullets in, maybe. We'll take a look at that in a second. Let me just put that to the side. Put the knife away and get out Roadblock. Of course, this episode will run longer, but it's the last one, so let's just enjoy it while it lasts. So, removable helmet. Great detailing on the face. And it would be something that they would get better as time went on. I mean, his big popped out shoulders, kind of odd. Nice big pouch here. But as you can see, he has no extra sheaths or holsters. But this combat webbing and belt is on there separately. I don't know if it can be taken off. I'm sure it can. you can pop it right there. Oops. Focus. Yeah, you can pop it right there. So here's his big old machine gun that is very reminiscent of the original. Bigger, more detail to it. Of course, focusing issues. If I do this like a lot of the YouTubers do. Look at my nasty hands. Looks great. And he comes with a tripod, which that's in there. And these bullets, which are also in there. Now, I assume let's just set him here for right now, and then we'll get them all loaded up. Oh, there we go. Slipped right in there. Sorry it was off camera. As I said, I need to get the aspect ratio and all fixed on this camera. Now, do these fit in here? Yes, they do. And you could put it on either side for whatever helps with posability. Whoa. Where does helmet go? There it is. Oh, come on, you son of a gun. There we go. It's a nice molded open hand. But he does not hold the gun that great. See, it pops right out of his hand. But there we go. Very awesome. So let's put him down and take a look at Gung Ho. Okay. Has his thump gun here. Does his hat come off? No, it's soft bill though. Kind of loose in the legs, that's surprising. Has extra shells here for his gun. Has a holster, he comes with an extra pistol over here. Has a backpack. Now of course this is not the lovely teal, the original that I love, but it's very close. Has his tattoo. Let's see if we can get that, there we go, focused on that. Very nice detailing. I'm just surprised at the amount of mobility with this since it's been locked away for so long. Love the camo. They did a good job. Now, I'm pretty sure they released all of these on cards eventually, but I thought, well, I already have them in this set, so why would I need to buy them again? So, like this, I think is my only version of Gung Ho from the 25th anniversary. Now, I have the version 2 Roadblock, but I don't think I have that one. And I have 100 of these Snake Eyes, a couple of her and a couple of him. But these two, these are my only versions, I think. There we go. Looks very much like Sergeant Slaughter from Sunglasses. There we can see that tattoo really good. His molded abs. Very nice figure. Now, I am going to try my hardest to get out the G.I. Joe insignia and see what kind of batteries it takes. So, hold on, I'll be right back.
2 hours later.
Okay, we're back. I took a lot longer than I thought to put them all back into their little positions and lock them into place. And I got this out, changed the batteries, which they're just AAA. And yes, they were a little rusted and corroded in there, but there was no damage to the piece itself. So remix. Now, I don't want the whole thing to play because Hasbro is a little bit copyright happy, and probably in their minds they'd be like, hey, you stole that from one of our videos, and hit me with a cease and desist. So had to remix that a little bit to throw them off the scent. So anyway, here was the 2007 very first boxed 5 figures of the G.I. Joe 25th anniversary line. So I'm happy I looked at it. I mean, I'm not oohing and ahhing over it because I've seen better 25th anniversary figures, and like I said, these were the start though, and they were on to something really good right out of the gate, but they got a lot better. So anyway, back to me. And as you can see by the shimmering halo behind me, that's where I set the box set with the 2 other ones on top of my little pyramid of boxes of Joes. Wow, that glare is crazy. I look very angelic. Anyway, this is the end of Fistful of Joes. In this version, like I've alluded to a few times in not very secretive fashion, it will live again, a little bit different, a little bit more special, and hopefully just as fun. So I hope you enjoyed this last episode, this number 30, parentheses 31 of Fistful of Joes. So until next time, we'll grab some more fists of Joes sometime down the road. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you got something to say, please leave a comment. I love reading them, and I love getting back to everybody. And if you're new around here and you enjoyed this or any of the episodes that YouTube is recommending down here, please hit subscribe. And if you hit that little bell icon, you will be notified whenever there's a new episode. So anyway, until next time, thanks for watching. Keep being rad and stay dorky.